In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make needle felted balls, and I'm going to be showing you two methods to do this. Now, neither are better than the other, it's just a different way of doing it, so you can decide which one you prefer. My name is Charlotte Allen and you've come to my channel, The Felting Alchemist. So I'm going to be showing you how to make needle felted balls today using two different methods. And the reason I want to start off with showing you how to make needle felted balls is because it's a really integral part of needle felting. It's the basis for loads of your sculptures that you're going to be making, and it also gets you to grips with using the needles and where to put your fingers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be showing you how to make a ball using wool bats, and I'm also going to be showing you how to make a ball using merino wool as well. So I'm going to start off showing you the first technique, and this is the one using the wool bats. Now this is a really simple technique, and the wool bats, because it's nice and lofty, it lends itself to it really well. I mean, you can use either technique using wool bats, but I quite like using it for this method. So you want to take a long strip of wool bats, and it might be that you have a slightly longer end, so you might want to just tease that away, and then you might want to just lay it on top of the center part so you've got a slightly thicker middle. It's really up to you, but that's the nice thing with wool bats, you can do that. So you want to take the wool bats, hold it like you're holding almost a piece of rope, and then I'm just going to fold it one over the other, and then I'm just going to feed this section here, so you're crossing it over each other like you're making a knot, and then feed it through that hole, and then just put it tight. And you want to put it relatively tight so you've got a nice tight knot. The tighter you make this, the less felting you're going to have to do in the long run. So getting a nice tight knot in the middle is a really good basis for starting this ball. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got equal measures either side at the moment, is I'm going to take the first one and I'm just going to fold it over. So I'm holding it with my right hand, which is my dominant hand, and then using my left hand, I'm just going to fold this over the top of the wool, where the wool's coming out, and then I'm just going to fold it round. So fold it round until you've got no more wool left, nice and tightly. Then I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to take two twisted needles and a needle felted pen, and these are fine needles, and I'm just going to tack that into place. And when I'm using my needles, I'm keeping my fingernails up like this, almost like if you were a chef and you were cutting something with a sharp knife. So your nails are a barrier, so you're not going to stab yourself in the fingers. Always try and keep your fingers out of the way as much as you can. And just tack that down. You don't have to do anything too dramatic at the moment, just so it won't go anywhere. There's a bit of loose bit there. I'll just get that down. Okay, so once you've done that, you want to take this second piece, and we're going to fold this round the opposite direction to the piece we folded over a moment ago. So that first piece, we folded it round like this. So this piece, we're going to fold it over the top, like so. Keeping it nice and tight, still using my dominant hand to hold it, and then folding with my left. And that just works for me. It might be that you find another way to do it which is easier and works better for you, so don't feel tied to that method. And then I'm just going to make sure that I'm folding my wool over any areas where you have gaps or any kind of sort of shapes that don't look very ball-like, if you like. And I'm just going to fold it over the top, keeping it nice and tight until I've reached the end, and then again I'm just going to use my nails to protect my fingers, and then felt that down using my fine twisted needles. I would definitely recommend using more than one needle because it speeds the process up. You'll find if you use one needle, it does take a lot longer. It's twice the effort, if you like. I'm also using fine needles, and the reason I'm using a fine needle is because what we're doing here is we're compacting the wool really tightly when we're turning it. And if you were to use medium needles, you would find it a lot harder for your needles to penetrate the wool. So I'll demonstrate it to you now. So I've got these two twisted medium needles here, and I'm going to go in, but there's a bit more resistance there, whereas with the fine needles I find it's a lot easier. So you just sort of keep going round, and then any areas where you've got bits of looseness where it's all kind of ruched up, I'm just going to felt that down. And then also I'm turning the ball as well, so I'm getting a nice even felt. What you don't want is to have one part of the ball more felted than another. You want to try and keep it as even as possible. So I'm going to keep going, and then eventually I've kind of got this ball shape now. So now I'm at this kind of halfway stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it between my hands. And what this does, it creates more of a ball shape for a start, but it also helps to muddle those fibres together because you've got the heat from your hands that's helping them to kind of wrap around each other, if you like, so you get a much tighter ball in the end. So just using the palms of my hands, I'm just going to do that, and then once I've done that, I can then feel where it's all the wool's kind of dissipated, where I've rolled it with my hands and moved. I've got these areas of looseness now that I know I need to work on. So I'm going to take my needles again, and again I'm just going to roll it round to create that nice lovely needle felted ball. And you just want to keep going until you get to the stage where you've got a ball like this. It's very Blue Peter here. Here's one I made earlier. So that's how you make a ball using the knot method, and that's with the needle felted wool, apologies, that's with the wool bats. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to make a needle felted ball using merino wool. Merino wool is a very different, I was going to say animal, it's not a different animal, it's a sheep, but it all comes from a sheep at the moment, it's very different in terms of its texture. So what you find with wool bats is that wool bats is carded, and what carding means is all the wool's put into a drum and then they're moved around, and then all the fibres crisscross over each other, so that's why you get this lovely lofty finish to the wool. Now with a merino wool, the wool is combed, so it's cleaned, combed and dyed, and then you get this much more long, softer finish to your wool, and you can obviously get different types of merino. So this is a New Zealand merino, but you can get different types. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the rolling method with this wool. So first of all, I'm just going to take these horrible ends here that are all a bit kind of wispy, and I'm just going to fold them over so I've got a nice neat edge to start off with, because if you're trying to fold this it gets a bit bitty and difficult. So fold it over so you've got a nice neat edge which is quite thick. Using my dominant hand again to hold the wool, I'm then going to take my left hand and I'm just going to squeeze those two pieces together like that, and then I'm going to pull it in on itself. So you've got this here, so it's kind of folded over the top. Then I'm just going to squeeze again, pull over, so I'm starting to get that kind of Swiss roll almost shape. Then what I'm going to do is, squeezing the wool, I'm going to start turning it, so I'm keeping this nice and straight. You don't want this to twist, because then you're going to end up with twists in your wool and it's going to make it a lot more difficult to needle felt in a moment, and it's also going to create a bit of an unpleasant shape. So you want to keep it nice and symmetrical, so keep this nice and straight and just fold it over. I'm going to show you so nice and slowly so you can see. And these corners here, we want to get rid of these corners, so I'm folding the corner into the wool, this corner into the wool, turning it this corner into the wool, until you've got no more wool left, keeping it really super tight, because with the merino wool you don't have the loftiness of the wool bats, so it makes it a lot more tricky to get that ball shape. So now I've folded it over, hold it in place, don't let go whatever you do, otherwise you're going to have to start all over again because it'll all unravel. And I'm just going to pin that into place with my my fine needles, and I'm just going to felt this bit down here as well. And you can hear the needles hitting the wool where it's obviously nice and tightly compacted. So I'm just going to start off by felting down these corners because they're all loose and they're sticking out, which we don't want if we're making a ball. And then just again, move that bit out of the way, rolling the ball round so we're getting a nice even felt. And I just like to tack everything down nice and securely before I roll it in my hands, so nothing unravels. There we go. And then just take it in your hands again, give it a good old roll. And then just take your needle felted needles and, you all right, sweetie?
Sweating.
You're sweating. That's because it's a really hot day.
Something to eat.
You can go and get yourself a banana if you like, Freya.
Can I have some snacks in the cupboard though?
You can get a packet of crisps.
Is that all? Or Twix or something?
No, you've already had chocolate today. You can have
No,
crisps.
because what if something else which is not chocolate in there?
Like what?
Like I don't know. But
Why don't you start off with a packet of crisps and we see how we go, or a cheese string you can have.
I'll just have
Okay, sorry about that. So you want to keep turning your ball. Again, by rolling it in your hands, you're muddling all those fibres together, so you're getting a much tighter, lovely symmetrical ball shape. But it also kind of like by rolling it, you find those other areas of looseness that you can then work on. So I'm going to give it another felt. I find that this method with the merino, it takes longer than the wool bats, as you can see, but it usually takes me about 6 to 8 minutes depending on the size of the ball. And also you can mess around with this in different quantities of wool to see what size of ball you get, because you'll find that the more you felt it, the smaller the ball will be. So you want to just experiment and see with, you know, different amounts of wool, what sizes of ball you get. So then you know what kind of amount of wool you need to use for what project. Hello Freya, how can I help you?
I can't reach the snack.
Well, wait for me to finish doing this
Mummy,
and I'll help you.
Do you mean a savoury snack?
Yeah, you can have a savoury snack. You're not
Yeah,
having
but
any
they're
chocolate.
pie. I can't.
All right, I will come and help you in a second. Go into the kitchen and I'll come and help you, okay? And it might be that you make a ball and then you want to add more wool on top as well. So just to create a slightly larger ball if it's not quite as big as you'd like it to be. But once you sort of get making these and you get used to the quantities, you'll know how much you need to use. So you just want to keep going until it's nice and tight. Keep rolling it in your hands and eventually you'll get to the stage where you've got a lovely needle felted merino ball. A quicker way of doing this, if you wanted to get that colour but you don't want to take the time to felt this all down and get the ball shape with just the merino, is you could use a core wool. Now a core wool is basically a wool bat, but it has more bits in it, more fibres and things like that. It's cleaned, but you get kind of like grass seeds and things in it. So you could use that because it's inexpensive, so you could make a ball very quickly like we have with the bats, and then you could cover it with the pink merino wool, so you're kind of cutting down on your time rather than making a ball entirely from merino wool. But it's really entirely up to you as to what you want to make. So I'm just going to keep going with this and then I'll come back to you in a moment when I've finished. Okay, so I finished felting my merino ball and this is what I've ended up with. So it's a nice tight ball. I could probably go a little bit more if I wanted to, but I'm happy with that thickness. And then what you could do is you could make a garland with that, or you could incorporate it into a mobile. So really there's lots of things you can do with this. And like I said, it's the basis for all of your needle felted sculptures, especially ones that don't have an armature in. So it's a really good technique to practice with, especially when you're starting out needle felting. So I hope you found this video useful. I apologise for the interruptions. I think there's also a party across the road now as well. So it's all kicking off in Devon today. But I hope you have a great day and I will see you again tomorrow with more needle felting hints and tips. See you soon. Bye.